everyone, welcome back to Voidheart Studios, and a little intermission before today's video. I know I've been doing a lot of super nostalgia reviews lately, but that's because I just, haven't been able to find a good chunk of the new blasters. All the X-Shot, all the new X-Shot blasters released, and they have been stocked at absolutely 0 stores within a 40-minute drive of me. Because you'd think North Texas would be an area populated enough to where they'd keep stuff up to date in stock, but apparently not. So enjoy many little trips through Nerf history in the meantime. But anyways, today I'm going to be doing another super nostalgia review. Of course, I've explained these in the past, but of course I go through an altered review format on an old blaster, but instead of just being a discontinued blaster broadly like my regular nostalgia reviews, I'm focused on a vintage blaster. And today's vintage blaster is the Nerf Stryke AutoGrip. The AutoGrip was released in 1996 in the Stryke Gear series, and it was made by Kenner. So, yeah, let's get into the review. Starting up at the front is the barrel. This blaster is a single-shot pistol that takes vintage mega darts. So, yeah, unique caliber. You won't really be able to put anything modern in here. Going down from here, you have the grip. The grip is not particularly comfortable, but considering you're supposed to mount this to your arm, like so, with this little black strap, then it doesn't really need the grip, because all you need to do is just push on the trigger. Going down from there, you have the priming handle. To prime the blaster, you pull forward because the plunger tube is facing backwards, and then you've got an absolutely massive turnaround here. What that does to the performance, we will talk about later. And of course, to fire the blaster, you push this little black trigger. And I hope I get this in frame. I completely missed my dart catch. Anyways. Of course, down below here, you have this little black pin, where if you pull the blaster down and around like this, it folds away. So if you're wearing a jacket with particularly big sleeves, you can have the blaster kind of a little hidden away, and if you've got giant hands like me, you can block out the priming handle. So whenever you want to take a pop at somebody, all you got to do is either pull this pin with your left hand, or press the other end, this little black button, with one of the fingers of your offhand, and the blaster will spring up into your hand, and then you can prime it and fire. Of course, I don't have anything in it, and it doesn't have an air restrictor, so I'd rather not dry fire it. Going back from there, you have the armband with storage for 3 extra vintage mega darts, and this armband has some pretty good points of adjustment. I mean, it'll go down pretty small for, the little children it's meant for, or it'll go pretty big to fit around my gigantic adult wrist. The only problem with this blaster, for specifically me and any of the other Southpaws out there, is this blaster is very distinctly right-handed. Hold on, let me pull the darts out. I'm kind of crimping them anyways. So, this, of course, can come off. But of course, there's no way to reverse it, I don't think. Unless? No. There's absolutely no way to reverse it by putting it around upside down or You can't reverse it by putting it on backwards. So, yeah, it is a right-hand only blaster, which, if you're right-handed, then, well, lucky you. You won't have any issues with it. But for any of my fellow lefties out there, you may experience a slight bit of discomfort when you're first getting used to this blaster. It's not hard to get used to. I pretty much screwed around with it for half an hour and I was pretty well used to it anyways, so yeah, it's fine. And honestly, I would want a blaster like this on my offhand anyways, because it's a stowed away blaster, so I can take and find a blaster to use as a prop. So I can take and I can use not this primary. There are some primaries it doesn't like, but of course I can use my primary as much as I want, and then, you know, my primary runs out, my primary jams, whatever, I can pull it out and bop somebody, and then fold it back up for later use. Of course, it does have a little bit of impeding, but whatever. Most people who do stock wars use flywheelers anyways, so whatever. But regardless, yeah. Going back from there, you have this big orange tube. This is mandatory. This is necessary for the blaster to function. Please do not remove this tube. I know it's big, I know it's waggly, I know it's stupid, I know it's uncomfortable when the blaster closes, but this tube literally needs to be here for the blaster to function. Do not cut it off, and if you find a listing online for one that has had the tube removed, don't buy it. This will not function. Anyways, with all that said, I think overview time is over. Let's take this thing out to the range and play with it. Alright, we are out on the range with the Nerf AutoGrip. Let's play with it. I'm not exactly sure how true my aim is going to be, considering this is a right-hand only blaster, and I don't aim with my right hand. I don't aim on my right side, obviously. I aim on my left side, so we'll just have to see. Also, first up, we're going to do, of course, vintage Mega Darts. Mark that shot. Ah, there we go. I got it in the pocket. I'm just kind of going off of vibes. Nice. Peek. Well, I hit the table, but I don't know. I still count that enough. Oh! That one went farther, but it fishtailed. Alright. Well, that was it firing vintage Mega Darts. Of course, like with the Roto Track, there is another modern caliber that this blaster can take, and it's not Ultra this time. It's N1. Yep, these damn things are making a reappearance. Alright, let's see if it shoots any better with N1. No. No, it does not. About similar, though, which Oh, that one hit the table. Had a louder pop, too. Oh, come on. Can we hit one, please? Spark it up. No, I overshot that time. You know what? It's about the only way I'm going to hit a damn target with M1. One more old mega for good measure. Damn it. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I'm not in frame. That's about the performance one would expect. Again, I haven't tested this outside yet. I've done all my testing indoors because it's so hot outside due to being July in Texas. So, yeah. It's about what I expected. But yeah. That concludes the firing demo for the AutoGrip. Let's go inside and yap about this thing, because, yeah, even though the performance is, like, kinda awful, I do love this thing. Alright, we are back inside with the AutoGrip. Let's talk about it. Starting with the FPS. I put this blaster through my chronograph, and after many failures, I was able to get some shots that read, and it averaged about 38 FPS with Vintage Mega. Now, I don't know if there's any issues with the seal in the tube that's causing that, but I think that issue is primarily caused by the tube. This blaster has an insane amount of dead space because it needs to get the gimmick to work of, you know, being an arm-mounted stowaway emergency pistol. Of course, even by vintage blaster standards, this is not a primary. So, what does that state? That states it's fine. It's a Jolt. It's the vintage Jolt. It's the stowaway concealed carry. All my crap is either broken, jammed, or out of ammo. So I'm going to take one last shot to either pop the enemy or pop myself and get it over with. That's the AutoGrip. So, yeah. And what does that leave me to say about this blaster? Well, it's fine. I mean, it's fun. Despite the fact it has pretty awful performance, even for a vintage blaster. I mean, I was using the Slamfire only Dead Space AF Roto Track, and I was still able to hit the target more from 20 feet away. And, yeah, that really shows, like, this thing, yeah, it's an emergency pistol. Like, if you're running an HVZ or a stock class war, you keep this mounted on your arm, either with the band it came with, or, you know, on some sort of gauntlet, because you can attach it to, like, a gauntlet of sorts. Captain Xavier, when he modded an AutoGrip for Can It Take a K26 back in the day, he had it on a skateboarding glove. And so, yeah. This blaster is kind of... yeah. It's impractical for use as anything other than a concealed carry emergency pistol, so you can use your right hand for other things. And what is great is, it is, despite, you know, I was showing you I had issues with, like, the X-Shot orbit and the skewer, the Busby skewer, this thing is perfectly compatible with Stryke blasters. I can just fine, and just perfectly fine and dandy, operate my Rototrack with this stowed away on my hand. So yeah, I mean, it's perfectly fine for the blasters it was made to combo with, and it was a product of its time. Nobody... Back in the 90s, nobody cared about the X-Shot Chaos Orbit because nobody knew the X-Shot Chaos Orbit was going to exist. So, yeah. I'm really saying so yeah a lot. Practicality aside, compatibility in terms of ammunition. This thing is not compatible, or this thing was made for vintage Mega Darts. So, vintage Mega Darts are what it fires best. Now, there are other things with similar capacity, that, or with similar, like, diameter that can be put in there. Like, I could fire the Rototrack with Ultra, and, well, it barely functioned. I need to try it with what I was able to fit in this, but I could fire N1 out of this blaster. Of course, it doesn't have a dart post, and so, and it's the right diameter, so an N1 dart just fits right in, and, ow. You really should only fire this when it's attached to your arm. Every time I've tried to demonstrate it not attached to my arm, that priming handle has come and snapped back and hit my hand. Ouch. But anyways, it will fire N1. Ultra, I tested, and Ultra just doesn't really fit. Well, it fits kinda, but then it just doesn't fire. So I'm thinking that the back of the barrel doesn't seal enough to clear these fins, and it's letting the air leak out. Yeah. That's compatibility. So, with my talk about practicality and compatibility out of the way, what is my opinion? It's a Stryke blaster. What else am I gonna say? I love this thing. The Stryke series was part of what turned me on to vintage blasters initially, and that's why the first vintage blaster I ever ordered was this Rototrack. And I intend to buy more Rototracks at some point. I want to finish out the Stryke series first, before I buy more Rototracks. So, that way I can go like full Terminator. And then, of course, when I saw the Rototrack, I looked up, you know, the Nerf Stryke series, because that's the series it came with, and I saw the AutoGrip, and the Strong Arm, and the Perceptor, and the Comlink 2s, and the Defender T3, the Armor Shot, the Ratchet Blast, and I was like, they attach to your body, and they fire while attached to your body, and they're stupid and fun and gimmicky, and I want them. That was pretty much my thought process whenever I saw the blasters, and because I love gimmicks, and I live for the jank. I like janky blasters, I like gimmicky blasters, and these are very gimmicky, not so much on the jank part. Their gimmicks are actually rather well executed for a product of the time. I mean, I think a modernized AutoGrip would have some more efficient airspace, but, I mean, it was the 90s. What Hasbro knows now and what Dart Zone and X-Shot know now, I mean, is like leagues more compared to what Kenner knew back in 1996 when this was released. So, I can't really fault Kenner for this one. So, yeah. It's a fun blaster. It's very much a product of its time. But on past my opinion segment, there are only so many ways I can say I love this blaster despite the fact that it sucks. Let's talk about the speculation. If I were put in the heels of John Hasbro or not John Kenner, John Hasbro, whatever, and I were to design a modernized AutoGrip, what would I do? I would flip this. I would flip the plunger tube because, like, I get they wanted it to be a little bit, like, accessible, but, I mean, with the tube, this is where the tube is supposed to sit. It's supposed to sit on your wrist. If the back of the tube is on your wrist, then if you were to flip it and have this instead be the back of the tube, even fully primed and fully extended, that's not going to your elbow. And, like, maybe even with a little kid, if it, like, rests on your elbow, then yeah. And then just flip the ring, and you've got an AutoGrip that's a lot more efficient, because then you can just make the air funnel through this channel and up through the grip. You have a lot less dead space, and you wouldn't have to have this big flappy tube over here that's just waiting to get punctured. I almost wonder if this tube might have been punctured. I don't know. I have to look over it and see. But, yeah. That's what I would see for a modern AutoGrip. And I would want a button to flip it. Not some, like, weird, like, pin. Because, like, as very much as you can do this, that's not the main way to do it. You do it by pulling this pin with your offhand, which eliminates the part of this being a one-handed blaster.
They give her shit.
So, yeah, just put the priming handle down your arm, and then put a button on the thing, and the button is what unlatches it and then causes it to spring forward up into your hand, and then you've got your AutoGrip. But yeah, that's what I would do if I were to craft and design a modernized version of the AutoGrip. But in its current state, I do still very much like it. So, with all that said, I think that is enough yapping for tonight. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. All the other YouTube crap. I think they got a hype system now, too. Whatever. And comment your favorite Cyber Stryke blaster. And I will see you all in the next one. Until then, take care.